Hi! In this video I'll show how the terrain is created, how the caves are created, I'll show item and armor, how they work, and I'll show the tile placement and tile reparation system. I'll also go through how I make NPC structures. Okay, now we'll go over how my terrain is generated, how the system works, specifically how the height of the terrain is generated. So I haven't used any noise function because I have no idea how I'll make it work, that different biomes will have different patterns. So instead I just used a simple system where I decrease the height value or increase it depending as I move along on the horizontal axis, because the world is generated from top to bottom. Then I move one step right, top to bottom, exactly like this. And as I reach the point where the terrain value is, I start painting the tiles of the floor. So this terrain height value, as I said, will change. And yeah, then I'll get, for example, this is a more of a flat surface. This flat terrain. This is more of a sharp increase in and decrease of the height, leading to pointy mountains. And then this of course is very variable. It's very easy to randomize even more. This is another type of terrain. It follows the exact same pattern, that it goes up and then down. It's just more of a smooth curve. The only thing that's been introduced here is the sudden changes in height. So sometimes it randomly moves up a lot, and sometimes it does a sudden change down. So let's look at the values that set these biomes and their terrain behaviors. Is right over here. The minimum length and the maximum length is it can be shown here. The minimum length and maximum length decides how wide the biome is until it randomizes into the next biome, and so on. The thickness is how deep into the dirt it goes. You can see here it's 2 tiles in towards the dirt. Here maybe it's 4 tiles, and the purple one had much more. The type and the number decides what foundation is placed on this biome. Foundation is what I call these. Let's see here the list of foundations: soil, granite, sandstone, clay, shale, grass, sand, and so on and so on. The list will grow. And here I set the name, the script for spawning, yeah, the symbol sprite and the sprite, the color, the variation in color, and so on. The effect, like I showed in the previous video, that it will have effects like wavy grass or shiny, and so on. Yeah, and there are some interesting stuff, the description, the effect, and so on. So I set the foundation here for this biome. Here I choose if I use the preset custom colors that I've set for the foundations. Of course, I will mostly I won't be using those, because I will probably use custom colors, because dirt might look like this. I mean, it might have this color, but on another planet it'll have a different color. So I'll be using this. Over decoration set. So it's a set piece of many different over decorations. Over decorations are these that spawn, the images that spawn on top of the tiles. Here, where was it? The over decorations initialization. So, for example, this here. Sorry for jumping across screens so suddenly. This over decoration is this one here. It's 2 different types of sprite. It's the same sprite, it's just that I have different color that they merge into. And yeah, there are a lot of values here as well. The effect that they will have, the variation in position, the minimum and maximum size, the angle that they will start with, and then the variation in this angle. Use tile color if it uses the color of the tile that it spawns on, and then merge color was what I was talking about earlier, that it merges into yellow or merges into aqua blue. So that's what you see here. Sometimes they tilt toward yellow, and sometimes they tilt toward aqua, and many more interesting values. This was the other one, the simple leaf. So it's sets. So each tile will have a certain set. For example, the dirt tile will have skulls, bones, roots, small sticks, or whatever you will find inside dirt. These will also hold items, so when you destroy this tile, you will also get an item based on what over decoration is there. Um, yeah, and that's minerals will also be over decorations like gold, silver, copper, and so on and so on. So this is the set that I decide for this biome, the over decoration set. This is the probability for this over decoration to appear. This is the decor probability. The decor is the surface decorations. It's these plants and trees, and they also are set here somewhere. When I initialize the planet, I go to the top layer and I add the biome, the values that we are going through. This is the preparation for the green biome. So I set plants. These plants are then prepared and they have their own values, and the tree is also one of the surface decorations that will appear. So this value here, where was it? This value here, the decor probability, will decide among those that I've set for this biome how often it will be spawning. It won't spawn on every tile because that will be overkill, both performance wise, and also it will look too cluttered. It will be too much to have too much stuff on screen. You won't be able to see. All sides. What is all sides? This decides if the biome will spawn on all sides around the tiles. For example, this here has all sides set to 0, so it will not appear on the right and left side. It only appears on the top. Yeah, so these are the base values for adding a biome. So this is when I add a new biome. Then we have the terrain. I set the values that will be specific for this biome, the terrain values. So yeah, it's pretty obvious. I choose the peak heights, and I know it's not called peak if it's a low, it's like valley maybe, and yeah, it decides how far up and how far down it will go as it randomizes. The acceleration multiplier is how fast it will try to reach the height that is being set as its goal, because it has a current height and it has a goal height, and it gradually moves towards the goal height based on the acceleration multiplier. Otherwise, if it was instantaneous, it would be very sharp changes in terrain, and that perhaps also will be a certain type of biome would have this kind of terrain. But yeah, peak acceleration. This is just adding even more acceleration as we move towards the goal. The minimum and maximum change, how much tiles it goes until it decides to change direction, starting going down, then starting go up, how much tiles it takes. This will decide how sharp the peaks and valleys, the spacing in between them. And then we come to the sudden values. The sudden values was, as we saw in the red biome, minimum maximum amount, how much it will jump up or jump down, how far, and then the minimum maximum time it waits until it does these sudden changes in terrain. So yeah, these are the terrain values. You can see in the minimap how it's adds variation. Another thing I'm thinking about adding is a global terrain, uh, gradual increase and decrease. So if you take a look at the mouse, you see here that sure, I've got these patterns now based on the biome, but all of them will follow a more increase, like an arc, a mountain and a valley going down. So we'll still have these patterns based on the biome, but they all follow a global change in terrain height. That might be interesting because right now, sure, it's a variation in terrain, but all in all, it's pretty flat if you compare with the sky and the bottom. It doesn't change too much. Free up storage space. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, so this was terrain height system. Another thing that I've been working on is the cave generation system. It's pretty simple. It still is not complete because it has these kind of predictable patterns. I don't like this spacing in between here, that there are no caves and then all of a sudden there are a lot of caves. But I got the general idea done. It also doesn't use any noise. It doesn't use any noise function. It just carves out, I think it's called worms, worm carving, and blobs and worms. I just spawn circles and I carve out the path. So in this way I can choose biomes for the different caves. As you see here, it's not good looking right now, but the system is done that it decides a biome for the cave. Over here, for example, you see that the red grassy part is covering the border of the cave, and then we have the brown biome here. The difference being that this one only is applied to the bottom parts and not on the top sides, while the red one is always applied on both sides, and they will also spawn. This isn't right. Trees won't be spawning here, but they will spawn their own decorations on top. Yeah, mushrooms from rocks and alien things that you will not think about that appear on different planets underground. I'll try to create as much variety as possible. So yeah, the cave system is working right now and will only improve. So the next thing that I've been working on are items, and this is how it looks like. Items will stack on top of each other, and they will always try to find their way. They will always try to find an empty cell where they can stay fixed, because I don't want items to despawn, and I can't have a lot of separate items that are just active in the world. So instead I make them find an empty cell within the grid and then store their values there. So if you go if they go out of screen, if you go away and you come back, they will still be there, and this way I can have, yeah, items will be persistent. The problem is that this is pretty inefficient right now, because these are all separate objects. Even though they have no code running, they are still, this guy is still checking collision with them, and then I don't know, there's something that's causing the FPS to go haywire when I have a lot of items, and I don't want that. Of course, I don't think there will be any scenario where you will be stacking this many items on top of each other, but yeah, it's possible. It's possible you can dig, and if you have a full inventory, you will not pick up what you dig, and then you will have these many items. Um, Also, I have added equipment. This is a way to see how items will stack on top of each other, and then you can either pick them up and disrupt their stacking, and you see how yeah, this is what I meant earlier. If I have a lot of items stacked, and then one of the item is spawned inside of this stack, it will try to find its way into an empty cell. Might look weird, but I don't care. It's nice. Look, 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 look. Yeah, I can go crazy. So it's like they're sentient somehow. Yeah, okay. So we have armor. Let me just clean up here to get back the FPS. Armor has been added, and it's, yeah, this is a helmet. This is also a helmet. So they will of course be equipable, and the pieces are a helmet, the torso, shoulder, pants, knees, gloves, and shoes. And this is what it looks like when I equip these items. It looks like a medieval armored knight. And a nice thing that every animation works the same, and yeah, there will be a lot of variations. And of course they all will have different stats and so on. So this was the item system that I'm still working on to make it work, be efficient. I really don't want to add a limit, but there somehow has to be a solution to this madness. Okay, next up is tile placement, but before I go to that, I want to show that you know how I said that the first two slots will be shown on your back, and you will cycle between them. All the other slots, they will materialize in your hand, because you have this data pad. It has the ability to decompress any item. It breaks them down into individual atoms and packs them together neatly so they can be stored without taking up physical space. Why not, right? So for example, here you can see that if I cycle between stuff that is not the first two slots, they will materialize and dematerialize into your hand, and the first two slots will show what's on your back. So it feels nice to have an explanation why you are having so much items, but none of them, you can't see where you're actually carrying them. So the datapad will be visible on your hip, say, and yeah, it's a logical explanation. Okay, so now about tile placement. So you have these foundations, and you will be able to place them. And let's say here, for example, I want to place this rock tile. I just spray it out, and it works as expected. So the thing here that you're seeing is that they have a certain time before they're actually solid, and it's the construction time or materialization time. And if you touch them while they're in this state, they will break. Why did I do this? Because the enemy AI, I want to have a lot of varied behaviors. The enemy AIs will be interesting, and you won't be able to just block them off like this. Then all of their behaviors will be meaningless. So this is a way to prevent the player from simply block himself off like this, and because the enemies will be able to pass through these, they will just push on. Um, so yeah, another thing about tile placement is that you can increase the size of the placement, and another awesome thing is you can also change the shape of placement. So you have these horizontal tile placement, you have the diagonal ones, or you can rotate as well, but you have many different shapes. So here we place like this, and I have the arrow-like, pyramid-like, and if I increase the size, we see a smiley. So the smiley works, and yeah, this was an awesome system. I'm so glad that it works. It's very simple. It's not that complex. I just draw sprites, and I in the before the world generation starts, I just loop through all of these and get the data of each pixel, so I then can decide where to place the tiles. This is also scalable and rotatable. So this was nice, and yeah, this is tile placement. And there is another cool thing that I've thought that this would be a good idea. The enemies in this game will be able to destroy everything you build, so your base is not safe. Enemies will come and they will be different types. Some types will be focused on destroying structures, others will be less effective in destroying structures. Um, so how do you counter that? How do you not get annoyed by the thing that you built that took time? You will be able to repair what you have built. So there's a repair tool, and this repair tool will allow you to repair anything that has been destroyed that you constructed. So for example, let me destroy some stuff here. Whoops. Uh, destroy. Destroy. And you can see that the repair tool will be able to show you what you have built, so you can easily rebuild your base. And I think this will be a nice feeling, because it will allow the enemy waves that will sometimes attack your base, destroy your base, and you'll have to rebuild them. This will not work on terrain generation. So yeah, you will be able to repair, and it feels like an interesting mechanic. Also, you won't need to gather the materials that you built your base with again. That would be annoying. Instead, there will be some universal currency where you you get it and then you use it to repair. Not a currency, but some form of energy or something like that. Yes, so this was tile placement and tile reparation, and it turned out pretty good so far. Okay, the next thing is NPC buildings. These are buildings that will spawn across the map depending on the civilization that exists on this planet. So when the planet is initialized, there are civilizations that are randomized. They get their own shape of housing and the race that lives inside, and so on. So here I use the same system as the tile placement shapes, that I draw different sprites, then gather their data, and then use that data to generate the buildings. This saves me a lot of time and a lot of headache. Otherwise I would have to create like equations to create the buildings from tile by tile, and that would give me much more infinite randomization, but it would be just so hard to make it work. This is such a good way to simplify, but there will still be a lot of variations. So each civilization will get a certain shape that they will use for their buildings. This shape will have many variations. So let's say this civilization uses more square-like buildings with sharp edges. Then I will just draw many different variations, and then I can randomize them horizontally. I can flip the side from left to right, and also wherever you see a white tile here, for example, this represents solid, like you see here, and the red ones represent the background. The foundation or the tile that is spawned on the white pixels, it does not fix. It's not fixed. It's randomized as well. So some civilizations might be primitive, and they might use dirt to build their houses. So wherever their pixels are white, they will appear dirt. Also, I have variations and colorings when I encode these building shapes. This here is for solids. So I, for example, have 4 different types of dirt, for example. So this building will not use the same dirt across the entire shape of the building. It might, the outer layer of the wall might be a certain type, the inner layer might be another type, and so on. And that would be randomized. So even though the shape is still the same, the content will be randomized. But yeah, I plan to add a lot. This is just 48 by 48 pixels in size, so I'll be able to do a lot of buildings, and also I will be a lot of shapes. Yeah, so yes, so this was the shape of the building. The other thing here is the second index represents what objects will be spawning inside the house. So for example, the green pixels here represent where I will spawn doors. So this is also a way to simplify placement, to get exact positionings, and still that will also be randomized. Different types of doors. The yellow ones are ladders, the white ones represent what's it called? Platforms. Jump through platforms that you can go up from and still stand on from the top. Here, for example, in this object image, I can place frames on the wall, decorations for the roof like chandeliers or lights and so on. And I would not set specific, like for example I do wall decorations. I play, for example, purple color might be wall decorations. So wall decoration for a different civilization, from each civilizations, will be different. Some civilizations might be more barbaric or warlike, and they would like hang up skulls or trophies of war. Otherwise, other ones would be more civilized, and they will add frames and other decorative stuff. So this is a good system for me to keep it simple while still wanting to create nearly infinite variations in NPC buildings. So that's what I'll be working on, but that's not right now. But I just want to get each system started at least, because I don't want to have a lot of things that I want to do, that I want to see the outline of the game. This is a pretty big game, and I'm just it's too much to think about. So I'm trying to make it manageable. So I'm trying to find these tricks to make it easy to work with. So yeah, hopefully it will be awesome with much variations, much different types of buildings, civilizations. This will also work for random temples that are just spawn randomly in a forest. A certain temple, the temple might have like what's it? Yeah, a temple decoration on the top side, and then a dungeon on the bottom side. The dungeon either might be used a similar shape. I don't think so. Either I would have to do more segmented images that would be randomized together, or I'll just carve out a path similar to how I do the caves, so that the dungeon will be varied for each temple. Yes, so this was NPC Buildings. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content. See you next time.